Hey, what's good, folks? Got another video for you today, man. Joe Rogan, those comedians are turning on you because you ruining comedy. Let's get to the video. I'll leave an original link in the description. Fair use. Fair use.
It's calling out Rogan.
You know, you're talking about the billionaires and politician stuff. What do you feel, and podcasters, what do you feel about politicians and billionaires who've appeared on podcasts of your peers to try to leverage comedy for their own goals?
Oh, dude, it was before that. I remember the first time I saw a president go on the Tonight Show. I thought it was cheapening The Office. It's like they never did that. Now that everybody has a camera and blah, 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 it's just so all over the place. I just think the landscape of it has changed. All I can say is personally, I would never do it. I would never have somebody come on that's running for president with my intellect. I'm not going to sit there and be like, what's your foreign policy? Like I would be like within 3 minutes, dude, what was your favorite Super Bowl?
I see what he's saying though, because a lot of times what happens is these politicians or people who are in a big esteemed office, they'll go on these podcasts and use the podcast or the comedian's leverage to get what they want. And instead of asking softball questions, you need to be more in the line of, okay, I want to know more about you and less about your political stance and stuff like that. I get exactly what Bill Burr's saying though.
And then people be like watching it going, I like that Super Bowl too. I'm going to vote for this guy. It's just like, it's just so far beyond my my wheelhouse. Like, yeah. I am just way beyond.
One of the reasons I like Bill Burr is that he roasts everyone. I know he's changed a bit over the last few years and started pandering more to the mainstream audience. I mean, that movie he made called Old Dads was so on the nose and predictable I almost couldn't finish it. But he does go hard at both sides of politics, which guys like Rogan and Theo Von used to do before they picked sides and drank the Kool-Aid. In that clip, though, he was referring to what I like to call the Dunning-Kruger experience. This is the phenomenon where Rogan will bring on guests who are clearly biased, compromised, or have an agenda and pretend to have a balanced conversation with them, and then when it eventually comes out that he was duped, he'll just throw his hands up in the air and say, "Don't listen to me, I'm just a 4'8" meathead comedian with shit for brains asking questions."
Yeah, I mean, I remember when I saw that interview with Joe Rogan and Trump, and then after a while, Joe Rogan like, man, I'm just a comedian, man. I didn't know. I'm like, bro, you knew from the beginning. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's like a lot of times these guys, even if they're comedians or athletes or something like that, they'll sell their soul for a couple of dollars.
Unfortunately, Joe will probably never get to see this next clip because he's completely detached from any criticism at all. And even though Bill Burr doesn't mention Joe by name, you know he's definitely talking about Rogan here.
Oh yeah, he definitely is.
There's a difference between the people that read and the people that are the subject of what you're reading. You know what I mean? There's people that like discover shit and figure out, and then there's the people that read it. Like the amount of people that can explain the theory of relativity. That's probably not a lot of people, but they can do it. But then there's this ego thing that because now I can explain it like I'm somehow Einstein adjacent. It's like, no, you're not. You just read some smart shit. Somebody said to me one time, I go, Bill, you know, you're a really smart guy. And I go, yeah, in a sports bar. You put me in a sports bar and you want me to talk about 70s and 80s sports. I am scoring very high.
Yeah.
See, what he said is that I'm smart at certain things, but I'm not going to treat myself like I'm smart at everything. And a lot of times these guys who have these shows or whatever, they think they're smart at everything because you read a few stats and you take a few notes or you use Chat GPT to get your information, but you're not really smart though. And I mean, Joe Rogan, every time I watch his podcast, it's like, bro, like, you kiss the ring of certain people, but other people you want to badger them about something. And that's why at the end of the day, this is why a lot of comedians don't want people like Joe Rogan using this, you know what I'm saying, this whole narrative to, use politics and all that to get their point across.
All right, you put me in like that form to have to interview somebody that is going to run for president, and then as the sports bar guy, you're going to see this guy did go to summer school a lot, so or whatever. It's like you're a smart guy. Compared to what?
Yeah,
it's all like sort of relative.
Joe Rogan is smart compared to Brendan Schaub. There, I said it. You know you were thinking it too. But the bit Bill Burr left out was that not only does Rogan always bite off more than he can chew, he's helped spawn a whole genre of podcasters who have an overinflated sense of confidence in their ability to comprehend complex issues. Or in Bert Kreischer's case, he's just overinflated. Every time I sit down with a bowl of popcorn to watch Brendan Schaub stumble his way through a conversation nobody asked for, I think to myself, Joe Rogan did this. Or when Andrew Schultz has the same epiphany that most of us had at the age of 15, and his buddies sit around nodding their heads waiting for him to squeeze out yet another brain fart so they can all sniff it and tell him he's a genius, I think to myself, Joe Rogan told him he's smart.
Yeah, I mean, Andrew Schultz is probably the definition of a Joe Rogan clone, because when I watch Andrew Schultz's podcast, it's like, yo, you get these cronies to be around here, and every time you say something, even though we know it's stupid, they laugh like, ha, 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 ha. That was funny. I'm like, bro, it wasn't funny at all. And we got to blame Joe Rogan for this, because these comedians, they get a podcast, they get 3 or 4 cronies to laugh at everything they say, and then at the end of the day, some people or their little scepter of people will think it's funny. No, it's not funny at all, bro.
Or when Bert Kreischer brings up the machine story for the 5 millionth time on a podcast, I think to myself, Joe Rogan told him to tell this story. Joe Rogan isn't just responsible for ruining podcasting, he's well and truly ruined comedy.
But the thing with Joe,
Yeah.
is I don't know that we have a lot to talk about because of my idea of what he's done to comedy.
Sure.
And I don't think it's great. I think that it's tribalized, and I think that he's created a sort of army of people that think they know comedy, but they only know a specific thing, and what they think is good is not necessarily good. It may be what they're like, what they like, but on the outside of that, most of the sort of sensitive weirdos that we all grew up with in comedy have been sort of pushed aside, and the space for them has become limited. And it's a little.
But there was a time though.
Yeah, but think about what he said. He said that Joe Rogan has made these folks think that they're better than what they are. And that's sad, because back in the days when we listened to comedians, man, there was no filter. There was no filter. You didn't really think about which side. You just went in and did your shit. Now, these comedians, man, the ones they said are weird and the ones who were really funny, but other people think they're weird, they have a limited space because this whole woke crap or far right crap has taken over.
That alt comedy was
not all comedy. I'm not even talking about the alt people.
Okay.
I'm talking about just like interesting stand-ups.
Right.
Weirdos. Yeah.
Is there a world where both these things exist and it doesn't fucking matter?
They do.
Well, so this is what I always say. Like, I get that you don't like that world. That's part of why I love you, because you're like, F that, and you'll on it, and that's what's great about
there's
comedy.
Some good comics in there, and there's a lot of middle section. There's a lot. I believe that we all exist in the same
and it
world.
doesn't matter is my point. I get why you
it's not all on him.
No.
The culture has changed,
right?
And and I don't necessarily think for the better, but it's changed in a lot of ways. In that, look, there are comics that only drive clips and that only do crowd work, and they don't care if they do other people's jokes because the traction is with the clip. And what they don't realize, I think, and what a lot of people don't realize, is that you're the internet's bitch. You're the platform's bitch. So in the sense that if you're not able to confidently do an hour without worrying about getting clips so you can get people come see you to do crowd work, what are you really? Right. What is your voice? Who do you work for? You'd like to think you're working for yourself, but you're just a platform bitch who doesn't really need to find who they are up there or do anything interesting at all. That's a problem.
Yeah.
So
I mean, that's a major problem. I mean, he said it. He said it. I didn't want to say it, but he said it. A lot of times, these comedians, what they do is they don't know how to do a full show. I've been to a few comedy improvs and stuff like that, and some of these comedians, I mean, these up and coming comedians, they do the shit just for the freaking clicks. It ain't like back in the 90s, 80s, and 90s when you go to these comedy clubs, you didn't have the internet, so you had to really be a comedian. I think people like Joe Rogan hasn't really ruined comedy, but it's taking comedy on a path where it's starting to go down, 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 down. And at the end of the day, you know, older comedians and comedians who really work at their craft, they don't really like that. The Bill Burrs of the world, they don't really like that. You know what I'm saying? They like the pureness of comedy. And with Joe Rogan doing what he's doing with the politics and doing the and the ahs and all that, that makes no sense. But hey, I'll leave the full video in the description so you can watch the full video in its entirety. It's your boy Jay here with another video. Do you think Joe Rogan ruined comedy? Let me know in the comments below.
Just don't sit there. Click on the next video. You won't regret it. I promise you.